Fantastic. Wow. Earth Hound in the house, setting the tone, guys. Welcome to the show. What an incredible way to kick things off here tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Of course. Thank you guys for being here. We have a lot of fine folks in the chat. We want to take a second here at the top of our 25th episode just to thank you all so much for joining us. I mean, who would have thought we'd be here 2.5 years later? And it's all because of this great community that we've been so lucky to grow here. So from myself and everyone at the crew, we truly thank you all. And if you are new here, thank you. Thanks for spending some of your time with us. This is our band show. We are a live web stream that showcases amazing talent from our area. We go live once a month and we edit those videos down weekly and kind of refine them after the fact. So there's always content coming out here on the channel. So if you like any of the music you hear tonight or later on in the show, you'll get a sneak peek at some music we've had on in the past. Please subscribe, like, and share, and stick around. We're only just beginning. So with that said, speaking of beginnings, Earth Hound, we have Charles, Tyler, and Kevin. And you guys have a rich history. You've been friends for quite some time. And I don't want to tell your story, so please, let's have the Earthhound origin story here. Where should we begin? I dare say the beginning, but it's up to you guys.
Sure, yeah. We've all been friends for quite a while. I think we all met in middle school. And Charles and I actually were in a band in our early high school days called Junior Jones. And then we formed Earthhound shortly later. That first run of Earthhound was like 2007 to 2010, I believe, where we kind of honed in the sound that we were trying to go for at that time, a little bit more like softer indie rock, kind of inspired by like Radiohead and Grizzly Bear and sort of some popular music that was around at that time. And then we all went our separate ways in our 20s. And now we're back together. This is kind of our first full year reunited. We've got a bunch of new songs, so we're happy to be here.
So how old were you guys back in that 2008 era when this all first began? When you guys presumably all lived a little bit closer to each other too, right?
Yeah, we were like teenagers, 17, 18.
So what is it like looking back, years later, and the band is back together? And I would say this is top of the charts for you guys. Like I like the old stuff, but I really dig the new vibe. I think it's got a cool, fresh, unique sound to it.
Thank you.
What has it been like kind of reforming after all this time and sort of picking right back up seemingly where you left off?
Yeah, so when we kind of parted ways for a while, I went to Asia and I taught English in Japan. And then when I was there, I formed a band called the Horror Club. And so I kind of went in a more like post-punk direction. And then coming back with Earthhound, like that post-punk vibe mixed with like more shoegazy stuff that I was kind of doing in Japan with that band, kind of bleeds into these new songs. So coming back together with my friends after all these years has been really nice to kind of, take what I learned, over these years that we were apart in the interim, and now that we're back together, like to kind of use that with my old friends. It feels really inspiring. So all these songs were written in the last year. We just feel very inspired to play music again.
That's awesome. And so, I'm sure people are going to want to know, did you stay in touch during the time that you were on a how many year break? Let's see, if it's 2024, 2008, that's like a 16-year break, right?
Actually, we played until 2012, actually.
Oh, okay. 2012. So you formed in 2008, played until 2012.
Yes.
Then went all your separate ways, I assume college, starting our lives and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, we played in New Paltz for a little while in college as well. It was like after I graduated college, I went to Asia, and then that's when we stopped. And then I came back in 2020, and then we started playing again like in 2023. So because I was in graduate school, so like there was a period of time where I was too busy to play. But like now we've been playing for like the last year.
That's awesome. And you were teaching over in Asia, right?
Yeah. I was teaching English, and I'm teaching now here in Queens. So.
Let's take a quick pause from the Earthhound story. What was it like? You mentioned your band that you formed while you were living over there in Japan. I mean, what was it like playing music in another country, forming a band in another country, and just doing like your own unique style over there? What was that experience like, Charles?
It's kind of like a bubble for like foreigners, like because the person I was playing with is from like Australia. So like we're both foreigners in Japan, and then there's like foreign bars that we'd play at and some Japanese bars, but there's like a foreign music scene like within Tokyo. And so like we were kind of part of that. And it was kind of harder to break into the Japanese music scene. So we just kind of played on the peripheries of that, you know, like in a lot of like the, you know, like the expat scene.
Really? Is there a big expat scene?
In Tokyo, there is. Yeah, there's a lot of expats there. And then, you know, the live house culture is a bit different there. Like certain places you have to like a lot of pay to play kind of stuff, and we didn't really like that. So we ended up like not playing that much live, but we recorded like a full album like in a studio, and it's really good. And you can check it out. The Horror Club is linked on our Spotify as well in our bio. And yeah, I'm proud of what we did.
That's really cool, man. Did you still keep in touch with any of those guys?
Yeah, it was just a duo. It's, me and Kyle. He's a producer there now, and he has a studio, and he like produces like rap artists in Tokyo, and his name is Ghost Pops. Check it out.
So let's jump back into the Earthhound story here. Charles, when did you move back to the States?
In 2020.
2020. And did you immediately call the guys and say, hey, listen, we got to pick this thing back up? Or how did that happen?
Well, we were all friends like through all that time, you know, like we'd talk every once in a while. And when I visited like over the years, like he was in Colorado. I visited him in Colorado, and, you know, he moved to Albany, Kevin. So I visited him up there. So like we stayed in touch. We like, it wasn't like we only were, you know, musician friends. Like we were friends, you know. Cool. So it wasn't like the first thing to do to go back into music. It just kind of happened because it just felt right, you know, to kind of play music again. So we just wanted to give it a try.
So like, Kevin, you know, moving upstate and keeping in touch with these guys, what has it been like for you throughout the journey of Earthhound?
Oh, it's been great. When we originally stopped playing, I tried a couple other bands, but nothing really stuck. And we always say there's nothing like playing in a band with your friends. It's so much easier because you know each other better. So getting back to it's been great.
Yeah, and you know, even though you guys are all back in a central location, you're still kind of far apart. Maybe that's a theme, huh? I mean, you guys all meet centrally here in the Hudson Valley, which is all of your home at one point in time. But how do you make it work now that, you know, you live in Queens, Charles, and Kevin, you're from the Capital Region?
Oh, we found a practice space kind of in between Queens and Albany called the Hodgepodge.
Shout out to Carl.
Yeah, Carl from the Hodgepodge.
Yeah.
It's a great little spot, very affordable. And so we just meet up once a month, once every 2 months, and send demos to each other in the meantime so that when we meet up, we have a foundation ready to go.
So even though you don't meet up in person as often as probably a lot of the bands we have on, right? They do like their bi-weekly or weekly practices. It seems like communication is constant with you guys. So I'm sure it's always top of mind, right? It certainly sounds that way to me from the audience perspective.
Yeah, I mean,
I would say so.
We chat a bit. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big texter, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, I've been observing the relationship, and I do have to say that I can really see the chemistry, and just it's really nice that you guys are such good friends and make such great music together. I think it shows that it seems to me like I'm observing a very easy, free-flowing process. And when we were talking about it, you know, you were saying bands that inspired you were artists like the Ramones, right? Or, you know, My Bloody Valentine. And you had said in our pre-meet that you very intentionally try to, and you know, please, if I'm misphrasing this here, taking a run with it, but it was my understanding that you try to embody the feeling of shoegaze, but really it's punk at its core and it's fast-paced and hard-hitting, but you try to capture that spirit as well and blend the two worlds. What can you tell us about your approach to your sound and sort of how you go about creating the music that we're hearing?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like that driving punk bass that I love, and the pedal, you know, guitar wash over top of that is like something that is an intentional thing. But you know, I like a lot of shoegaze, but again, a lot of it's like really droney, and the vocals too are kind of like, you know, back in the mix. Whereas I'm not that type of vocalist, so it's like vocally too, I'm more of a melodic vocalist. So I guess like mixing those things in our own unique way is like what we're trying to do. And yeah.
Well, can I, if you don't mind, I'd like to share something that I notice as a musician and audience member today. I do agree you have a very melodic vocal, but it's also very rhythmic. At times, I get a hint of some of that punk scene that was happening. Maybe not as popular as the Ramones or the Clash, but in that era, like the Stranglers.
Yeah.
Some of that vibe, and then modern bands like Squid too. And it's really cool that you can do both because I enjoy when you pick your moments. When there's melody, it really hits because sometimes maybe around that are these more like shouty rhythmic type of things. Was there a thought process behind that, or are you just kind of feeling it out as you go? What can you tell us about your approach to that vocal style?
Yeah, it's a lot of feeling. Like when we meet up at the Hodgepodge, we'll have an idea. Kevin will have a bass line, or I'll have like a idea, and then we'll just like play. And then the first things that come to my mind vocally is what usually I just keep. So it's like the first thing that happens, so it's like that moment of just that raw thing. And, it's nice to kind of try to capture that. Like, so when we have to write the stuff together, because that's how it comes out,
Yeah, most certainly. So like, what is that like, guys, when you're all jamming in a room? Like, let's let Kevin or Tyler, like from your perspective, how does a song come to life?
Yeah, I mean, for the bass lines I come up with, it's honestly usually pretty quick. Within like 20 minutes, Charles just kind of comes up with a vocal melody, and then he's jamming on the guitar, finding the right notes, and Tyler comes in quickly. We just kind of figure it out, and it's usually very fast.
Yeah, it always seems like the songs that kind of come together naturally are the ones that we end up keeping and like working at and really trying to chisel to make sure that they're really nice and polished when we finally decide to start playing them live. But it does seem like we've been playing together for so long now that it's very natural for us to come together and get a good song together pretty quickly.
Kevin, when you said find the right notes, I kind of know what you mean as a songwriter, but to someone who's maybe just enjoying the show right now, a music appreciator, of course, what does that mean in the creative process? Because when you're just throwing paint at the wall, how do you know that is a note that will stick?
Experience and just listening. It's like just jamming. I don't really know how else to put it.
I wrote down that when in my notes about you guys, I said they really feel like they have a clear idea of their sound, and a shared vision is what I wrote down. Can you guys speak to that?
I think we all listen to very similar music, and when we come together, we sort of know what a song should sound like as we're putting it together. So we all are sort of like, we have the same end product in mind, and that's why it's easy for us to all get there, because I think we're all sort of shooting for the same themes.
And like when we in our first iteration as a band, we didn't have that really. We just because we were so young, like we were teenagers, so we were just playing whatever we wanted. But now I think we came back at it with an idea to create like a sound, and I think we achieved that over this year.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. And let's get back to that sound. So we're going to kick it over to another set of music in just a few seconds here. Guys, we have plenty more show for you this evening. Don't go anywhere. If you're new here, thank you again. We really appreciate it. 25 episodes and counting. Please subscribe, like, and share. Not only will it help our band show, it will help the band immensely, and we would greatly appreciate it. With that said, if you guys have a question for the band, ask it in the chat. We love to get the audience involved. And at the very least, if you want to support the artist, well, you can drop an earth or wolf emoji. They'd appreciate both. It's basically like your way of cheering for them if you were at the show. So with that said, guys, we have a ton of great music. This next song is called Undress the Nation. Earthhound, take it away.